Okay, cool. Hello everybody, and welcome back to probably the most challenging flight that we've done on the channel so far today. Flying out of Paro. A short journey up to Kathmandu, and little turnaround there before heading back for what's deemed one of the world's most dangerous approaches. So we've got everything already in the flight deck, and we're testing out a new PR today as well, involving changes to the nav display for both VOR and ILS, which, as you can see, removes the flight plan completely off the nav display. So we'll have a little play with that as we make our way through. Now, Paro is an airport that's already at 7,333 feet, and there's no SIDS associated with it, so we're going to climb up to our cruise of flight level 320 straight after departure. Terrain is a factor, as we can see. All around us we're deep in a mountainous valley, and we've got Premium Deluxe as well, so the Premium Deluxe version gives us the fantastic handmade scenery and a couple of nice bits there. Interestingly, on one of the charts for Paro, there was somebody's house labelled on it, which is a little bit odd. So we are all ready to go, and let's make sure we've got our TCAS ready, transponder ready and things, and our predictive wind shear on. Lock the door. And then we can get our pushback. We're on VATSIM, but naturally, time of day and things, there's nobody here. No controllers and so forth. So let's get that beacon on. We'll come off external power.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead, flight deck.
We are ready for pushback and engine start.
Roger. Release the parking brakes, please.
Parking brakes released.
Here we go.
Pushing back.
Brett, good evening. And Squad Jet finally live on time today. With Druk Air.
Behind it, you start your engines at your discretion.
They use the call sign of Royal Bhutan 1. So we're Royal Bhutan 165 today. New sounds and things from the A32NX project as well. Let's go ahead and get that engine 2 started. I'm not sure if we're going to actually push back into the grass at this rate. Oh no, seems pretty good. Little backtrack involved, runway 15 for our departure today. Aviation simulation, hello, welcome. And that'll do us for a nice smooth pushback. Sakurai, yeah, welcome, you're on time. I was having a little look at the charts before we started, and the return does look quite difficult.
The turbine is disconnected and the equipment is clear. We will see you on the left side with the pin.
For a VOR arrival.
And go to hand signals.
Thanks. Have a good flight. See you later.
Danny, hello, welcome from Chile, fantastic. Thanks for tuning in. So because it's a short runway, we're using flaps 2 for departure, and we've got a flex 2 temperature calculated of 57 degrees. Engine 2 is available, so let's turn engine 1 on. Yeah, we're still climbing, squad. This livery is on flightsim.to for anybody that might be interested in obtaining it. And let's have a little look at some charts. So we're going to depart runway 15, head south, with a caution of rapidly rising terrain up to 11,000 foot surrounding the runway. And be aware of up and down drafts, wind shear and turbulence on final approach. And there's a displaced threshold as well for runway 15, which we could see as we were pushing back. Runway length is 1,985 metres, so quite short, and there's loads of random pieces of information. I was mentioning that somebody's house is labelled on the maps, oddly enough, and in the middle of your screen there you can see Mr. Smith's house, which is a little bit bizarre. If anyone can work out who Mr. Smith is, let me know. But there we go, there's no SIDS at Paro. There's only one arrival route via a VOR. Engine 1's good. So the return will be particularly tricky. The flight into Kathmandu is going to be hard as well. We're going to be using RNAV for runway 02. So let's go ahead and prep. Let's do that part brake off. Wing. We'll just stick all the strobes and everything on as well because we're going to be straight onto the runway. For the backtrack. Brett, good question. It was actually it was okay. It was MCDU menu, options, and then there was an option here for sim in AOC. So I'm just trying not to crash. In AOC, there's the sim brief option. Then I pressed MCDU again, went into the ATSU menu, AOC menu, and then it was init press. So I pressed into here, and all of this is available, init data request and things there. So I fed all that data in, and then on the init page just below there, it gave me the options of importing the flight plan. Echo, hello. So it worked absolutely fine for me. The steps were slightly different, though. I did note. Hopefully they don't change too much because I'll have to redo that entire video again if they do. Shortly before the live stream today, hello Ben, welcome. Shortly before the live stream, I released a little video showing off version 7.8 of Gatwick Airport, where the guy who's created the scenery has actually gone and worked out how to create a parking guidance system for the stands. Flight level today, good question. Flight level is 320, 32,000 feet. There's our turnaround point at the end there. The mountains themselves go up to about 20,000 feet or so, off the top of my head, so don't want to be flying too low for it. Tan, hello, welcome. William, hello, welcome. Good to see you. Jared, good afternoon, welcome. We're going to complete our backtrack and then depart, and I'll have to be flying it manually the whole time, or at least it's until I can wake the everything up. Paro traffic, Royal Bataan 165, departing runway 15 straight out. Okay, let the challenge commence. So it's almost 8,000 foot, this departure runway, so it's going to be quite a strain on the engines anyway. I don't dare try to do a window view takeoff, not for this today. Maybe out of Kathmandu we can give it a go. Longer runways to play with and things there. I'm not sure actually if my custom views are still present. Let's have a little look. Is it Alt 5? Ooh, you know what? Cabin view or cockpit view? What do you guys want? That's thrust set. Ooh, 2 for cabin. There we go. I'm not sure where we're going. Let's have a quick look. There we go. Through there. We can't turn left because we'll crash. So we're just going to have to climb out as we are. Let's do Alt. Let's check this one out, shall we, as well? We can bring it flaps 1 to 0 now, so we were flaps 2. And we're on a real steep climb up. Let's check our progress. Ooh, you know what? We're almost stalling. Let's sort that out. So we go to autopilot and let's have a little look. Use the terrain radar to help me out here, I think. Good grief. So I'm going to try and fly it up this little green valley, I think. Otherwise we're going to crash. So let's just take over manual control because we've got plenty of power, so really I could just climb up, get clear of the terrain. Let's do Alt 5, shall we? Because I know we're going to be clear. So flying in, I think, is going to be very difficult for us, I believe. I'm not very good at these cabin views, guys. Let's get that speed back up. Whoa. That transition to autopilot was nasty. Right, where are we going? So let's do direct to now. Subsuit. We're on our way. And we're going to be clear of terrain, so that's pretty good. There's no SID for Paro Tan. Yeah, Jared. Gatwick is very, very good actually. So it's the flybywire 0.5. It's built into this, but we're testing a change to the nav display at the moment. Roger Moore. So we're going to go subsu, and you can see all the terrain there in red. All of that is still above us effectively. We're going to skirt around that as we climb up. Oh yeah, it's only a delivery flight. Flight level at the moment is 170. Some great views. So we could go and look at the arrival as we get closer. And into Kathmandu it's not particularly simple in itself actually. There's two options. Runway 02 is the one that we're using today, and there's two options for that. There's a VNAV, a RNAV approach or a VOR approach. So I've selected RNAV, but I'm still getting my head around the actual charts for it, so let's snap to that to show you guys. We're going to be flying in from the bottom here where it says Ratan, that initial approach fix, and we have to be at or above 10,500 foot. Max speed of 230 knots we've got there. If we have to hold, it's a 1.5 minute hold, as it's labelled in that diamond there. And then we make our way to Guras, KT532 for that other initial fix. And then we're basically flying through a valley again like we've just come out of in Paro. Max 170 knots. And we're weaving through this valley, all the high terrain around us, which will be above us at that point, as we make our way down to the runway there at Kathmandu. Now, the charts themselves are quite bare for this. We've got a final approach course of 022 degrees. We've got the missed approach data there, which is that really complicated long dotted line to get clear of the mountains. We've got a transition altitude of 13,500 foot. We've got our straight in and landing details here, and we can see that our minimums for the RMP, category C aircraft of 332 foot in that decision height, but we can go in and enter. And you can see at KT530 there's a mandatory 8,700 foot requirement there. So at that point we can then start a descent all the way through that mountain valley down to Dovan, where we have to be at 7,100 foot. KT522 260, and then our map T just below 5,000 feet. And we've got the runway altitude of 4,318 there, so that's high altitude as well. So that's what the RNAV approach is going to look like. Whether or not it turns out like that will be another matter entirely. Not too confident about this today. So, in our approach page, we can go ahead and input some details. Meta. What's the airport code for Kathmandu again? VNKT. Possibly a crosswind. I've not actually found a chart that gives me another alternative runway, so that's about there. Temperatures 12 degrees Celsius, and the QNH 1020 according to that meta. And the decision height, what did we say? 332 foot for the rad out, which will come in handy today, and it will probably be shouting at us quite a lot. Still climbing. There's Kimti, so that's our arrival start already. Coming into view there. So actually, let's we could in theory level off shortly. What's our radius there? It's 160 miles actually. Oh, we're good. We'll climb up to 320 still. Lots to be dealing with today by the looks of it. Hopefully a smooth descent. Hopefully smoother than that departure was anyway. Danny, what do you mean inclinated? Do you mean it's not working for you, or is there something else that's a problem? Great views. I will be working on a video that's going to sort of show people how I set these views. I've used a couple of videos to help me. They don't necessarily work properly anymore, so I've had to find my own way around it to make it work for myself. So Kathmandu is obviously the starting point for a lot of Everest expeditions. People fly to Kathmandu and head off to, I think, Lukla and things like that. But it's an airport with quite a long runway. It can take larger aircraft. I think Etihad flying with a flight from Abu Dhabi, for example. I'm not sure if that's a long-haul jet. Danny, straight but not level wings. So is it rocking you side to side constantly, or is it just leaving you in a permanent slight bank angle? You know what, all that drama, I was forgetting the other bits as well, like landing lights and ground spoiler armed. So let's get rid of that. Let's see, we should be good now for the rest of the trip. There's a load of peaks all around us there. I'd love to do a long haul 747 flight squad, but they just don't work properly. Both long haul jets are pretty poor by any measure, which is a little frustrating. So I'm actively avoiding the 747 at the moment. Just trying to work out what altitude we're going to have to be at Kimpti at, and the one after that says flight level 124, interestingly, and that's 646. And that's right out in the sticks still, so Ratan at or above 10,500 it says, which is up here somewhere. So we don't need to descend just yet, but we will be descending shortly already. When we get to Kathmandu, we'll do a turnaround. The SimBrief integration currently doesn't allow for us to import a new flight plan in, so we'll have to add that in manually, but that shouldn't be too much of an issue for us. And then we'll fly back to Paro and fly that tricky VOR approach. And I think speed's going to be key there, I think, because the quicker we're going, the less time we have to react to things. So in the meantime, what I will be doing is just quickly sorting out another route. I don't think there's any traffic at all anywhere near us. So just pop in some more details into SimBrief to get a new flight plan. See, arrival on runway 20 would be the better option, but it's not giving us a star for that arrival with our current trip kit, which is odd. Let's have a little look. Runway 20 departures. So we can depart on 20, but for some reason it's not. VOR runway 02, VOR Alpha. VOR Bravo. Really odd. It's almost as if they are forcing us in for a specific route. That VOR arrival looks really tricky. Good grief. Like step descents of 500 foot every couple of miles. We'll land with the tailwind. We'll just see how we go. I think. Yeah, Let's just do that. Even the automated one's not giving us another option really for that. Permanent. So, Danny, what I would suggest there would be to look at your dead zones in your controls, because it might be that your controls have got a micro input, so it's constantly shaking your stick, even though it's physically not moving. Digitally it might be. So have a little look at that. Increase your dead zones by another 10% perhaps, and then go from there, I think. If not, then I would suggest for the flight at least turn off Sec 1 or Sec 2, which is over on the far side there. But remember before landing that you want to turn that back on again. Zachariah, the graphics card that I'm running is a GeForce 2070 Super. A couple of miles, we've got 80 till Kimti. So I'm just going to start a smooth descent down. At least start to bring her down, I think. So one thing that they're going to be changing with the A32NX, we're testing it today actually, so for the return journey it's going to be quite tricky for us. But if we go on to nav, we've still got that route. But if I go on to VOR or LS, we lose the route. So that's as it would be in real life. So we're effectively, if we're on those options on the nav display, we'll be flying it completely blind. Which will be interesting for the Paro arrival. I'm not sure how successful that's going to be for us actually, to be honest. Some other bits I was testing earlier was, if we touch auto brake low or medium, it will be coming into the master version shortly. It will be announced on the eCam as well, so we can see exactly what was set as it should display currently. For the descent, I'll probably put icing on as well. Got a slight wobble going on, interestingly enough. Yeah, it's going to be tricky, especially with the clouds, this descent, I think. The terrain radar is going to become very important for this. I'm not quite sure how it's going to go. I haven't practiced this, either of the routes actually. I haven't practiced either the way out to Kathmandu or the way back, so this is the first time I'm flying into either airport, just using the charts. I'm conscious because it is mountainous, I don't want to go too low, because we can see there we've got peaks popping through the cloud already, and they're well over 10, 15, 20,000 feet themselves, so I'm conscious I don't want to descend too early, but then I don't want to descend too late either. Do I have any thoughts on the fly-by-wire developer flight model? Roger Moore. It's pretty good. I mean, it's massively advanced compared to the default version. They've tweaked quite a few bits of the coding, so the way the aircraft handles is a lot better. They're working on a proper fly-by-wire system as well, so effectively it will fly as it should do in real life. And there's a team of about 30-40 real pilots as well that are helping test, edit, tweak the code with the developers. So there's a lot of knowledge within the project itself all getting fed into the same thing. So I'm going to level off at 28,000 feet I think, because I'm conscious looking further ahead there's a lot of high terrain over there. So this is where the Microsoft Flight Simulator constraints go wrong, and interestingly enough this has got the nav data built into it as well. And it's KT646, flight level 124. That looks like that's too low for me, in my opinion. Although it is 60 odd miles away, that's probably roughly where that big peak is over in the distance. So we'll have to see as we get closer. We could already see on the nav display some little areas of green popping up, tiny little dots of terrain that's starting to track into our terrain radar. Here comes, I'm not sure if this is the autopilot playing up or if it's some clear air turbulence or not. It's great scenery. Now, I'm not sure if Kathmandu is handmade like Paro is for the Premium Deluxe version. It's annoying, that sun bouncing off that window doesn't look particularly good, does it? Let's switch to the other window. So I could change it, I could just do that if we wanted to. You can see here with the custom views you get the weird black part of the cabin showing up. So just take a bit of tweaking. Roger, yeah, no problem at all. As long as they help people, that's the aim of it, really. I've got one coming live in maybe tomorrow, I think it is. So it's a full VOR ARC tutorial, and in the description as well for that, I've created a little PDF as a bit of a trial, really. I've created a PDF document that goes along with the tutorial video to try and help explain it a bit more without having to constantly click back and forth on a video to try and get the information you need. So I've created the tutorial video itself, and then a PDF document that will supplement that information as well, and try and keep it in an easy to sort of understand format. So keep an eye out for that, that's going to be quite good. I'm a little bit nervous actually about the 23rd, the update from Asobo. Knowing what it's been like the last couple of patches, I don't think it's going to be a particularly good idea to bring in such a fundamental change right before the Christmas period. So let's hope nothing breaks. So bearing in mind there's going to be a lot for me to deal with, what I'm probably going to do is scribble on a load of paper. We're almost there already, wow. Navigraph is telling us that we could be at flight level 170 now. So let's see if that's accurate, shall we? Not too sure myself. That looks like 170 is going to be tickling those mountain tops there, scraping the belly. So we'll see how we go. We'll react with the nav display as well, the rad nav, terrain radar rather. Even Navigraph, the main route in for us actually is RNAV. There's direct 2, or there's an RNAV runway 02, and that's all it's given me for approaches actually, interestingly. Yeah, so it's only one way in, including, so we're going to have to land with the tailwind by the looks of that. Approaches RNAV 02, via Rattan. Add to route. Just going to have a little look on the Navigraph charts to see how different they are compared to what we've just had a little look at. I'll bring it up for you guys to see too. So it's a little bit further out for us there actually. It's the arrival route. Ah, there we go. Good grief, that looks difficult. So Rattan at the very bottom here, max 250 knots at 10,500 feet. And then flying through the valley in straight in arrival there for runway 02. Makes sense actually, that's the only arrival runway possible because the high terrain directly on the end of the other runway. So you can see here the only arrivals, the approaches on the maps here, VOR runway 2, RMP runway 2 and VORB circling. And that's given us there a decision height of 300 foot, according to that. Let's have a little look. And that says 629. It's 5.31 degree glide slope, so that's quite steep up to the last point, and then we even off to 3 degrees. And that initial approach fix of Guras 17 DME. Interestingly, that looks completely different to that one, doesn't it? That's got a straight line. The other one had a straight line in for the VOR approach. But we're going to be flying the RMP approach through the valley for a little bit of added difficulty. And we're literally weaving all the way through the valley on the way in by the looks of it. And VFR wise, we're looking to follow that river all the way in until we can see the runway, basically, by the looks of it. 6,000 foot is the base of the highest terrain in the centre of the valley. Dropping down to 5,000 foot as we come out the other side. Oh, I wonder if I've bitten off more than I can chew with this. Echo, thank you. Cheers for tuning in though. See you shortly. Okay, so we're going to be clear of that, so we're going to be turning left towards all of that. And let's have a little look at this, shall we? There's Rattan. We have to be at 10,500, so that's correct there. And that's flight level 124 from that waypoint. So let's do that. You can see the terrain, ooh, little micro stutter there. You can see the terrain started to build in on the radar there. There's a little bit of a red peak on our 3 o'clock. We're descending into the valley again. Be a short turnaround for this, and then we'll be heading straight back to Paro once I've sorted a few bits out on the ground at Kathmandu. And that's definitely going to be the trickiest part, I think. It was difficult enough just taking off out of there. No SIDS or anything, it just gives you a direct two-way point, but really we had to fly out of the valley to climb up to the appropriate altitude, so it gave us a lot to think about. How are we doing here? It's 30-40 miles. Rattan is all the way up here, the other side of this turn. Just where the cursor is, that's where Rattan is. That's flight level 105. And the QNH was 1012, wasn't it? So let's set that ready. 1020. So we've set that ready. And might make use of the VOR as well, in case the RNAV goes a bit wrong. God. Tan, you're not filling me with any confidence. We'll give it a go. We'll see how far we get. And if we get into trouble with terrain, then I'll just put toga mode on and climb. The difficulty is going to come with the speed restrictions. So at Rattan, we have to be slowing down to 200 knots already for KT532, which is straight after Rattan. It's 2 waypoints later, just before we turn into the valley. But then, as we make the turn into the valley, we have to have slowed to 170 knots maximum. So we'll pretty much be configured for final approach. Almost. We'll be at the very least flaps 2, making our way through the valley, descending with it. The descent is going to be down to us again. It's given us a 2.8 degree glide slope on the RNAV approach. So for the glide path angle, with a ground speed of 160 knots, the charts are telling us that we want an 800 foot per minute descent rate. The go-around procedure in itself is lengthy by the looks of it, so let's hope we don't have to do that. Oh God. You're finding all the good statistics. Oh dear, what have I done? I wonder if we can see it yet. The place we're going to crash. It's over there somewhere. In that valley. Probably the other side of this big mountainous ridge. But I'm going to try and spot the river that we need to follow as we make our way in, and then I'll just go from there really, I guess. Might throw myself a challenge and fly it manually all the way through. So the two options, the RNAV approach is definitely a smoother descent. The VOR had a quite a steep 5 point something descent rate, so interesting. What's the aircraft doing now? So we're slowing down to our speed constraint that's coming up, 250 knots. But why are we turning right? I'm just going to let the aircraft do this and just see what the hell it's doing. Might put icing on as well. And I'll stick the landing lights on, because 10,000 foot really is about 20,000 feet here. We've levelled off there. Interesting, it seems to have dropped off that flight path there for the start of the star. I'm wondering if it's going to feed us in nicely or if it's going to bug out. I hope it's not going to bug out. Let's put that onto 100. Yeah, it probably is taking us there. You're probably right. So yeah, there we go. We're turning left now, so it looks like it's just putting itself back onto a nicer line for us, which is handy. Nobody on V-Pilot, of course. And let's just have a little look at this again. So Rattan at or above 10,500. We're below the transition altitude now, so local QNH it is. And we'll set auto brake low. It's quite a long runway at Kathmandu. I'll say long. I suppose long for the location. It's 4,000. Let's have a little look. How long is the runway? 3,050 meters. Plenty. Low will do us fine. There's the speed bugging out again. So what I'll do for the RNAV approach is I'll leave it on arc mode So I can watch us as we go in, and I'll leave terrain radar on as well, so we can see all of the terrain around us coloured and mapped accordingly. Someone just pinged in as if they're on the ground somewhere. Garuda 864 apparently. Boeing 738. Where are they? 36 miles away, so I wonder if they're at Kathmandu now actually. So there might be an aircraft on the ground. $12,000, 105 wasn't it for the next one, so let's get that ready. At or above, we'll start our descent to that. It was a speed max 230 knots. So we may as well just start to slow ourselves down a bit more. Let's have a little look at our progress. For any complicated approaches like this, or like Paro as well later, speed's going to be one of the big factors. But I can't pretend I know what I'm doing for this, so I'll do my best. We'll see how far we get. We should be getting close to Rattan, which is on the next right turn. So we can see Rattan there. That's 10,500 feet, and then we're making our way in down to 5,000 foot for our final approach. So I'm not quite sure what that strange leg is there. That doesn't look like anything on the charts. No, there's definitely nothing on the charts there. So the runway's here. Not quite sure what that R312 thing is leading us off to. So we're going to have to be extra vigilant, I think, because I don't think Navigraph has got it quite right either by the looks of it, the nav data at least. It's telling us icing not detected, so turn it off for a bit, we'll see what happens. I mean, no doubt that it's going to bug out and try and cause us to crash. So approach phase activated. So now we've got a V approach speed of 125. We could allow it to just fly that green dot speed, which is about 190 knots, I think. We're 195 today. And we could go direct to Rattan actually, in fairness, but we'll leave it on the plan so we've got more time to think. Not sure where it's going to take us actually, and if that map is wrong, so we need to follow the river in to Dovan. So is that a waypoint on our flight plan? Rattan, Guras. Dovan doesn't exist on there, so that's not a great sign. What about KT524? There's 528. KT524, good. So by the looks of it, R312 is waypoint Dovan. And at that point we're passing a really tight corridor between a valley, so we're going to have mountains either side of us as we fly through, with a couple of degrees for margin for error. Looks great though. Might set up the external drone cam for the approach in actually. That might be a good shout. You can see if we can catch some good views. at that terrain. We're landing in there somewhere. I wonder how this is going to go. I can't have prepared for this anymore. I've read the charts about 10 times now, so the only thing left to do is just do it. Yeah, you don't want to be seeing a drone at this altitude, especially during this sort of approach. So Kathmandu is through here somewhere. I'll say somewhere because I have no idea where, but it's in there. And we should be near enough, sort of. I wonder where Mount Everest will be from here, from relative to our position. So I know altitude's good, so I've got a minute just to click about on Google Maps. Kathmandu is there. So Everest is off on our wing somewhere. Back to the important room. Yeah, I think that might be needed, Zachariah. We've got auto brake low. Let's go start to configure this early. Speed brake. Oh, ground support is armed. Let's bring this radius in a bit more. And then the charts. After Rattan at 10,500. We want to... Where's KT 530? Okay, so that's as we enter the valley. That's when we have to be at 8,700. 8,700. So I'll get that ready just to click. And that's with a max speed of 170 knots at that point. So we've got to deal with that. There's Rattan. Deep in thought now. On Zachariah now, I'm not going to be demonstrating any crashes, I'm afraid. Flight level 105 there. We're at green dot, so we go flaps 1 shortly. There's that decel point. We've already activated approach mode, so we're good for that anyway. QNH is set. Next altitude step is set, ready. So we'll pass Rattan and then we'll drop down to 8,700. There's Guras. And then it's a continuous smooth descent in the valley, he says. Look at all that ahead. So if this is relatively tricky, but Paro is meant to be very hard, then we've got no hope of getting back if this is not going to go well. How to... I think we're going to demonstrate that now, William, to be honest. How to gracefully crash. Terrain's on, so we make our way through the mountain. And Kathmandu is somewhere inside there. I'm yet to see the valley that we're supposed to fly through, but it's off that direction somewhere. And I can't see the river we're supposed to follow. So the next speed constraint's 170 knots. There's so much to consider with this. Let's see. Yeah, 170 knots is next, max. And that's at mandatory 8,700 foot. It says terrain is at 6,500 at that point, so we've got 2,000 foot separation from the mountains. Let's start the descent down to that next step. So we're going to fly past that, and then up to 530, which is the next one we can see there that says 7,100, which is incorrect. That's our mandatory 8,700. Navigraph have put like a double overlay on this as well, it's not helpful. Can't actually see the nav display properly. KT528. Okay, so that's not the one we want 532, which is after Guras, which is that. So KT530 on the charts is actually missing on the nav display from the Navigraph data, which is not great. Next phase was, we'll do flaps 1 because we want 170 knots max. And then we've got and then a descent, next waypoint KT528 of 8,240. That's possibly the valley we're going to fly through. And there's all the terrain building onto the map, onto the radar now. I don't think the 747 would get in. Yeah, Caravan would be a good one actually, that would be quite a nice one. Let's see. Ian, welcome. So here's the valley that we're flying through, he says. And we'll do flaps 2. I'm actually going to put some speed brake out as well to force the aircraft to slow down a bit more. And while I'm doing that, check the charts. Dovan at 7,100, so continue to descend down. Next one. Let's see what our nav approach does there, if it breaks it or not. Looks like it's broken. Yeah, that's broken. Brilliant. Should be able to activate approach phase at that point and make our way through, but there's the river. It should curl off through here, he says. There's that river on the map. Uh, 6,800 was next at Dovan, which is around about here, and then we want down to 5,280, so that's our missed approach. Just do that one for now. We'll do 800 foot per minute. What's our ground speed? 169. So 800 foot per minute is good. Let's go flaps 3. Let's have a quick daring look at the windows. That beacon didn't come off annoyingly. Good grief, look at that. We are in the clouds and the mountains. 7,100, 6,740, 6,260. And then final approach after KT 522 for runway 02. What was that rad out call out there? 2,500. Look at all that red. So we should be turning right through there, and we're not, which is not good. Naughty aeroplane. So again, Navigraph is messed up because we should be following that river all the way through. So I'm going to fly it manually all the way in, I think, because that's rubbish. We're getting hit by crosswinds and downdraft now, annoyingly, and a tailwind suddenly. So Navigraph was going to fly me into that hill. Which is pretty bad. So now we're playing catch up with the broken RNAV. Let's go flaps full. Good grief, I don't dare do that for too long, guys. Let's make a turn here around the valley. Let's have a little look at this view. Oh, there's the shadow as well below us. Kathmandu traffic, raw baton 165, short finals, RNAV 02. Lots of terrain. We've got cabin checked, spoilers armed. We need the spoilers armed, and we want the cabin checked. So you pay for Navigraph, and that's not even correct. Let's turn the terrain off because we know that we are very low, and the runway is off. Behind the support beam somewhere, actually. Is that it? Yeah, there we go. There's the runway. So we're visual with that. Flaps full, cabin ready, landing gear down, signs are on, spoilers are on, flaps full. Should have really, for that, should have turned the GPWS off so we don't get the terrain call-outs constantly. And we're probably lower than we need to be, because we're flying straight and level now for a little while. But the that RNAV data is completely opposite to what the charts are telling us. It was going to send us straight into the mountain. There's the runway ahead. And we'll just fly it in manually all the way ourselves. As soon as the aircraft can't do it properly. I wonder if the actual sim input is better. Some great views. Look at that. Fantastic. And that's probably a nice little descent profile for us there, so we'll make our way in. Start that final approach. That the radnav, rad out's going mad. I think we broke it. Let's stay in the flight deck for this. Looks like we've got 2 red now. High altitude, so the engines will be working a little harder if we have to apply power. 2 red, 2 white. I'm trying to keep that those pappies. 700 foot per minute descent rate. We've just lost a red, so I'll bring that down to 800 foot per minute, I think.
100 above, 100 above, 100 above.
Those minimums call-outs.
Minimum.
There we go, that's our minimums.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. Retard. 10. 5.
There we go. Ian, you're going to need a whole tub. So where are we going? To the terminal. So interesting that Navigraph was going to take us straight into a mountain. What I should have done was, what I was intending to do earlier was to fly it in manually myself, but I wanted to see, especially when you're paying sort of for Navigraph anyway, it's £9 a month or 90 quid a year or something, you expect it to be pretty accurate. And we'll taxi to the stand that the sim is telling us to use. Pop the nose light off as well for now. Cheers, Simon. Hopefully you watched us smash it through the valley. Yeah, Zachariah, I think you're right. It's I expected more from the Navigraph data. That should have been exact, but the not too impressed actually. The fact it was going to take us straight into a hill. There's our marshaller. Yeah, you know what? It's one of those things, isn't it? It's, if you're ever in doubt, just fly it yourself manually. He's bringing me in quite close. I'm sure we're touching the tuggle. Oh, that's pretty good actually. So, we'll do engine 2 off, and we'll just wait for this APU to fire up. Once that's available, we'll drop engine 1. Yeah, so RNAV didn't work, and the actual nav data was broken as well, or not accurate I suppose. MCDU's reset itself for the next trip, and we should get APU available any minute now. And then we can configure for the way home, or way back to Paro at least. So a whole 1 hour flight, and now we're going to do a return back to Paro for the world's most dangerous approach. Let's get rid of engine 1 now, and we'll just stick external power on. Beacon. So we could see if Pushback Express is going to work for us, or if it's going to give us a crash to desktop. So we should be able to trigger the steps. Here we go. Trigger the baggage, trigger the catering. So let's have a quick look at our way home. We've got an Igri 1 Bravo departure out to Kimpti, which is pretty much where we've just flown actually. Flown in via. But it'll probably be quite a steep climb again as we did out of Paro. All the way to Subsu, then direct to Tacti, direct to Pro, direct to Paro. Which I don't think matches up with the approach. PRO does, that's the Paro VOR, so that's going to be all good. Let's have a little look at configuring this. They've not yet given us the option to be able to re-request the sim brief data, but I'm going to have a little look to see if they may have done it without me knowing. Oh, look at that. So it looks like they have done it. So let's do performance, reload, next page, reload. Init. Okay, so this bit doesn't load again, but the rest of it did. So it's going to be the other way around. It's going to be Victor November Kilo Tango / Victor Quebec Papa Romeo. No company routes. What's our diversion? VGHS apparently, wherever that is. We'll just leave the same flight number, and we'll just use the same flight level as well, rather than overcomplicating it. Flight plan. So we're going to go VKT. There's departure on 20 because of the winds, and it was that Igri Rom Alpha to Kimpty. Let's have a little look at plan mode, shall we? So it looks like it's going to be a little wiggle through the potentially through the valley again, and then from Kimpty it was the Golf 348 airway to Subsu. And then it was a load of direct 2. So from Subsu direct to Takti. Good question. 27 north, I think we're at. Yeah, 27 north, 89 east, or 90 east. Takti, and then Pro for the VOR. And then it was just direct again. So VQPR arrival, and it was runway 33, I think it was telling us. Where are those charts again? Let's have a little look. Runway 33. Yeah, so in via Takti, and then it's left up to Paro through the valley, over Paro, in for final approach. So it's going to be RNAV 33. Is there a Zulu? No, so we use Yankee, and it'll be that Subsu 1 arrival via. Okay, well this is interesting because none of this is on my maps. We've got the VOR of course, but I can't see anything else. So Navigraph to the rescue, I think. Let's have a little look. Flights, new flight from Simbrief into Paro. Subsu. Charts. So Subsu to PR888 apparently, and then PR777 and 780. What the? So 888. I'm not, that looks like it's probably okay. It's going to be manually flying all the way in anyway from that, so there we go. Performance, we just have flaps 1, but the flex 2 will be the same, actually. We don't need all this fuel. Let's do 32 again. There we go. In it, 55. That's pretty much the same. We'll keep it simple, and fuel prediction looks good. RadNav page we'll have to amend. We've got that Paro VOR, which is 108.4. And the runway course is 328 degrees, which is important for us to input. We need that. And I don't know if there's an ADF. There's 410 for the ADF1 frequency if we need it. So we'll just go ahead and get all that in ready to go, just in case. Right then, I think we are ready to go. The only thing I need to do very quickly is just amend on vPilot our new route, so I just need to swap them across, and that bit's done. Where's our sim brief route? Get that. Where is it? There we go. IGRI 1 Alpha to Kimpty. So 49 minutes flight time again. We'll do flight level 320 again. KT, PR, and the diversion for the return was VGHS. VGHS, and departure time of 14:30. File. Fetch. It's almost pointless doing it, there's no ATC or anything like that, but hey ho. Facility, hello, welcome, good to see you tuning in again, welcome back. So the steps have already disappeared by themselves. Let's have a look, quick look at Navigraph before we make our way, and let's see what we can expect from our departure that we've got programmed. That's our arrival in, by the way. So, departures to Kimpty. Ignore that bit because we're actually going to depart back out the way we came. Zero 02, there we go. Was it 02? IGRI 1 Bravo. No, 120. IGRI 1 Bravo. There we go. That looks a bit better, doesn't it? Where's the charts? SID. IGRIS 1 Bravo. Oh, good grief. Oh, so it is literally a departure with a left turn. Oh, and it's based on a VOR as well. So, what have we got? 113.2. So we'll put that into VOR2, and we want a Oh, we've got Nalin Chalk, MDB of 252. Good grief. So we'll stick that into ADF2. There we go, so that's picked up. And we've got 7,500 foot we've got to climb to on this. Oh, it's Icarus 1 Alpha actually, isn't it? $4,700, back on ourselves. What runway are we using? Flight plan 20. Let's just use 202 again then. Igri 1A or Igri 1B. Weird, isn't it? Igri 1B looks harder, so let's just do that. Into Kimpty. Insert. And just make sure I've not broke anything on the nav display. Okay, good. So real sharp turn to 4,700, and then onwards from there, 10,500 up to Kimpty. So we'll just do 11,000. We want to put that into managed heading again, and we are ready to go. Let's rock and roll. No, we don't want that on. Silly, silly. Let's put. Oh, it's not going to give us either or, is it? We'll do the VOR for the radial turn, and then we'll flick over to the NDB to fly direct to it. So, let's see. External power off. Beacon on. Rock and roll. Let's see how far we get. Pushback time.
Cockpit to ground.
Go ahead, flight deck.
We are ready for pushback and engine start.
Roger. Release the parking brakes, please.
So even this departure looks like it's
Parking
fairly
brakes
tricky.
released.
Pushing back.
So taxi back down to 02, we depart, and after departure for terrain, we then effectively, by the looks of it, are turning a sharp left to then overfly the airfield and head off in that direction over there somewhere. Avoiding the mountains and things around as well, so slightly different again. Engine 2, so Felix, engine 2 start. Not sure why he's still standing there.
You're cleared behind and you can start your engines at your discretion.
New sounds have been put in by the A32NX team as well now. And they're working on some Pratt & Whitney sounds, from what I understand as well, so that's going to be quite cool. They'll look at creating different engine variants and things. Might get pushed back up there, but hey ho. Oops, fat fingers. Engine 2 has already started. God, you know what? I nailed the pushback out of Paro. We'll just end it there.
Pushback complete. Set parking brakes, please.
Parking brake set.
Roger.
So if we're going to track the NDB,
disconnected and the equipment is clear, we will see you on the right with the pin.
Thanks, and you can disconnect and go to hand signals.
Thanks. Have a good flight. See you later.
it's not going to let us actually by the looks of it, but we've got the VOR, we can track that. Can't track it on that mode, of course. And we can't track it on ARC, but we've got it set just in case. We'll just follow the RNAV. Aviation simulation, yeah, actually it will be. So I hope that doesn't happen. Unless you're trying to purposely embarrass me. Let's pop the taxi light on. Engine 1 is available. Ignition mode norm. And let's get rid of the APU. Pop part brake off. Master switch off. Flaps 1 for takeoff. Takeoff configuration. Spoilers arm as we taxi. Water brake max. And we could just do cabin check. If I was using the Lukla air tool, then naturally I'd have just done a safety demonstration and stuff as well beforehand. So again, a little backtrack involved here. Mariner, hello, welcome. It's going alright, thank you. We've made our way to Kathmandu, and we're now going to head back to Paro for... I mean, this was a difficult enough approach anyway, with Navigraph trying to send me into a hill. But we're going to give the approach into Paro a go, which is VOR only. If you guys are new to the channel, it's your first time watching, welcome. Please click that subscribe button. And if you want to get into VATSIM as well, have a little look on my playlists for some tutorials that are going to be built on over time as well. Thank you, Jesus. What a time of year to appear as well, eh? Kathmandu traffic, Royal Bhutan 165, backtrack runway 02. Oh dear. Let's get the lights on. Strobes. That's on. Let's see. Oh, why have we stopped? Too hard on the brakes, I think. I imported the outbound Mariner. Imported the outbound from SimBrief, but the inbound obviously is still blocked off. So I'm hoping that will get fixed soon. So we input the return to Paro manually in the MCDU. What's going on with my controls? I'm not doing anything there. It's sending me off. There we go. Matthew, welcome. We've made our way to Kathmandu. We're just heading back to Paro now for the dangerous approach. Although the one into Kathmandu was hard enough. The autopilot tried to kill us. Well, Navigraph actually. Navigraph tried to kill us. Kathmandu traffic, Royal Bhutan 165, departing 02 on a Idri 1 Bravo departure. This is takeoff. So 45 minutes or so and we'll be back towards Paro, trying to work out if we can land it without crashing. Have I got everything set? That's all good. Got 11,000 foot set. Managed heading. After takeoff, sharp right turn. A left turn. We might switch to that view if we can. If I can trust the autopilot. Cool. Power. That's thrust set. Flex. Exactly, if Jesus said I can land it, I can land it. 80 knots, taking that pressure off the nose wheel. There's loads of runway length for us here today, so we're using flaps 1. V1 at 122. V1 rotate.
Too low, terrain. Too low, terrain.
Pause the rotor up, that's annoying.
Too low, terrain.
Shush.
Too low, terrain. Too low, terrain.
Let's see if the autopilot works. And Alt 6 is that one for the views. Ooh, why are we pitching down? And pitching back up again. Autopilot's being bad. You know what, actually, it's going to be accelerating us. I don't want to go too quick, so let's take over 230, 220 knots. 210. That's going to help us turn nicer, I think. We'll keep climbing up to our cruise. And then Alt 6 again, shall we? Now that I can trust the autopilot a bit more. So there we go. There's Kathmandu Airport that we just landed and then departed from. And that VOR is going to take us straight over the airfield. Let's have a little look at this approach into Subsu. Great views of the airfield there as we pass overhead. We'll just put it onto standard pressure for now as well. And we could probably afford accelerating up to 250 knots. Yeah, so Mariner, normally you'd, unless it's somewhere like Ski Athos and you're needing flaps 3 for departure and toga as well, normally you'd set a flex 2 temp and you just you'd take off with a flex power, flex thrust. So toga is rarely used, I think, in real life, unless it's really short runway ops. Out of Paro, actually, we used toga. Out of Paro, we still used flex. We had flaps 2. So performance-wise, there was no issues for the flex takeoff. Let's see, open charts list for Paro. Oddly enough, Navigraph has given us the option of only RMP approaches, so they've not even given us the VOR approach for some reason for Paro. Let's have a little look. So that's not going to help us at all. Where's the airport? Oh, good grief. Thank goodness we're not landing on runway 15, because if we were, we'd have to fly from the bottom of the chart here all the way round this valley, all the way through, and then in for landing there. But instead we're going to be flying that sort of route instead. Mandatory 16,000 feet at PR 777. And have I got that in the flight plan? No. Let's have a little look at this, shall we? RNAV 33. No. Good grief. Okay, so it is RNAV 33 Yankee, it's going to tell us to do. Subsu 1, and it's 777. That should be a bit better for us, more accurate at least. And up we go. On our way back. Thank you. Yeah, he's made me more confident in landing as well. Actually, it's Kathmandu was difficult enough though, so this is going to really test me. Actually, I think for the return. Mariner, yeah, well, you're correct there. We can't do holds or diverts in the mod yet. If we were given a divert, what I would do would be just to where is it? I would take that airport code and I would go ahead and just sort of overwrite the rest of the flight plan, because we can't yet enable alternate. It's greyed out, but it looks like if it's greyed out, normally it means it is coming soon, so hopefully we'll get that feature. Multitasking, so let's see, dot meta VQPR. No such weather profile. Huh. So vPilot doesn't have a METAR for it. So I'm going to have a little look at my Discord server to see if that can give me a METAR on the charts page. Let's have a little look. So dot METAR VQPR. I don't think the bot wants to give me it. It is VQPR, yeah. Oh, there we go. So winds 140 at 13 knots. Oh. Oh man. Well, we might have to do that really complicated arrival then. Potentially. So the charts I've got from my Discord server only give us the option of a VOR DME for runway 33. But then that's a 13 knot tailwind almost to be landing with. So what do you guys reckon? Do you reckon we should do the extra? Do you reckon we should do the extra? Do we land with a tailwind for a simpler approach, or do we land with a headwind and then fly all the way through the valley? But then our Navigraph is going to be wrong, so I'm going to have to fly it manually half the way through, I think, and just see how we go. What do you guys think? I can't do. Yeah, we can't. Paro is only daytime VFR only. We're gonna have to do the really difficult approach, I think. Let's see. So we're coming in via PR 888 in that case. PR 888. Okay. We're gonna insert that then, guys. RNAV approach. The VOR becomes irrelevant then, really. According to Navigraph, it doesn't even give me an option of a arrival for that. 17,000 foot for PR 888, no less than, and max 185. So, for you guys, Subsu 1. It's going to be at the left of your screen. We're going to head up to PR 888, max 185 knots, at or above 17,000 feet, and then from there we're going to be flying in from the left of your screen again. This initial approach fixed down the bottom here, 17,000, into the valley, and we need to follow the river up to PR 818. Descending down to 13,800, and make a right turn into the next valley over some high terrain. Oh, good grief. The peak there is 13,636 foot, and we're going to be 150 foot above that as we pass that ridge. So zero margin for error there, and then we're going to turn right into the next valley, follow the river in for our final approach. Airport elevation of 7,364 foot, so I'm going to write that down so I can try and work out our descent as we go. Transition level of 18,000 foot, and there's our descent profile there. PR 816, where's that? Okay, so that's at that peak of the hill. 3.5 degree glide slope. About 1,000 foot per minute, according to that. Down to our final approach. Good grief. Let's talk about setting a challenge. You know what? I'm going to level off at 28,000. Let's hide Navigraph for now. Cheers, Mariner. Thanks for tuning in. So we're going to have to do the tricky approach then, because otherwise we're going to land with a 15-16 knot tailwind, which the runway is quite short anyway at Paro, so I don't want to overrun. I can go ahead actually and input that into the approach performance page, I think. So let's reset that with the new data, and we've got 140 at 13, temperature of 14 degrees, dew points -2, QNH 1017, transition was 18,000 feet, and the decision height, what was the decision height? 3,000 foot, or actually MDA for this, so 10,320. That's madness. There we go. So that's our approach data. There's Subsu ahead of us. And what do we need to be for Subsu? It was 18,000, wasn't it? Start, Subsu, doesn't tell us. We just have to be at 17,000 foot or above by that PR 888 waypoint. And a maximum of flight level 190, so I'm going to drop down to 17,000 foot for then and leave it at that for the approach. On Zulu. They're going to make this any more difficult for us, I don't think. Navigraph's going to be wrong, so follow the river to PR 818. I'm literally going to draw this out now. 818. $13,800 foot. Over the ridge. Follow the river down to landing. Cool. How hard could it be? He says. So we don't need the VOR anymore. good visibility, no clouds apparently according to the METAR, so that's all good. Jesus, thank you for subscribing. Matthew, I'm not sure. I know you need to install something called Symlink, or Navigraph Symlink I think it's called. So make sure you've got that installed. And I'm not really sure other than that, to be honest. When I installed Navigraph myself, I installed Symlink first onto the sim, then I installed the charts software, but I don't have to run Symlink separately, so whenever I boot Navigraph up it already connects to the sim, but I don't open Navigraph until I'm already spawned on the ground. I'm not sure if that causes a difference or not. Let's put our comms one back to Unicom as well. Just gonna have a little look on vPilot to see if anybody's around us still. No, nobody's about. That's a shame. So again, a nice short flight time. Metom and then BGB, whatever that is. BGB, then left to Subsu. And then our tricky descent in with a Navigraph that we can't trust. Let's have a little look at the view. Matthew, probably about 25 minutes. We're actually going to be starting the descent soon, I think. 25 to 30 minutes max, and there is scenery for it. I've got Premium Deluxe for Microsoft Flight Simulator, so we've got the handmade Paro Airport scenery from Asobo, and it's pretty nice actually, albeit basic. Runway length at Paro is 1,900 metres, so quite short. We'll be using medium auto brake. And I'm looking not to flare for too long as well. That's going to be quite key, I think. One thing that we need to be careful of as well is the wind as we make our way in, because as we're turning from a downwind and we're making that turn across that ridge, we're actually going to be getting a 15 knot crosswind at that point, so we're going to have to factor that in so we don't get blown into the valley as we make our turn into the final approach valley, if that makes sense. So there's going to be a lot to deal with on this one, I think. Kathmandu was tricky. This one's going to test me a lot more, I think. We can turn constraints off. So 28,000, that's all looking good. 60 miles to the turn to Subsu, and then we'll be looking to descend. $17,000, wasn't it, for PR81888? PR842. 15,200 feet. PR779, 13,800. Okay, good. If this bugs out again, if Navigraph gives us another issue as we did on the way into Kathmandu, where the line's not quite correct and it's going to take us into a mountain, then I will fly this all completely manually if it goes wrong. So it's going to be interesting. Aviation, yeah, I'll pass the message down to the back and let everybody know. I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to be on the plane, if I'm honest. Although I'm sure it'd be amazing to fly into for real, but no, I'd like to be in control of it at least. Yeah, at least they saw Jesus, yeah, very true. So we're doing a couple of live streams coming up in the next week. If there's anything you guys want to see, then let me know on our Discord server in the content suggestions channel. I'm always happy to take suggestions for what people want to see, as it's you guys watching the channel. So if there's something you want, let me know. Going live in the next few days, as I explained as we made our way out, is the next tutorial. It's linked to the VATSIM tutorial mini-series, I guess. It's going to be how to fly a VOR DME ARC. So we'll be using roads as an example, and for the first time I've actually created a PDF file that will go with it as well, so that on top of the video there's actually going to be a PDF that you guys can access and read through as well. Just 4 or 5 pages of information. Matthew, sure. Is there any route in particular you'd like to see? St Martin would be a good one. The scenery's not as good as I'd have hoped for St Martin though. I flew into it on the Caribbean series on the playlists back in September, in the very early days of the channel, and it was quite disappointing actually for scenery. So very shortly we'll be going left into the mountainous terrain over there. I'm trying to judge roughly when we need to start looking at descent from 28,000 foot to 17,000, so I might be, when we hit BGD and we make that left turn, I'll probably trigger the descent at that point. Just to make sure that we're level at 17,000 foot by the moment we enter that start, because that's going to get quite tricky for us, I think. Knocked the mic, apologise. Guatemala City approach. Well, that is an odd one you're throwing in there. KJFK to EGLL. You know what, I would love to do that on a long haul jet that works properly. So when we get the Quality Wings 787 come out, I will definitely do JFK and Heathrow. That's on my list of things I really want to do actually. So that'd be quite nice. A couple of hours. It's really turbulent, this part of the world in the sim, isn't it? On the way out I thought it was the autopilot messing up, but it's obviously just the turbulence from the mountains. San Diego's great in the sim if you're looking for new places to fly to. I could do something from San Diego if that's of interest, Matthew. That's really nice to fly but either into or out of in the sim actually. I'm not sure. I don't think there ever will be a Concorde, if I'm honest. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if it's being developed or not secretly. Or so you've heard there's one in the making. So I reckon 10-15 minutes and we'll be starting the descent in on the star itself. So the valley that we'll be going into is in there somewhere. It's difficult because the perspective here looks like the terrain is already at our altitude. But then this is telling me I need to drop down to 17,000 foot. But then we are going off in that direction, I guess, so that's probably a safe bet. DC Designs, I've never heard of them actually. I'm going to have to look into that. That would be very, very good actually. If you guys give this a go in your own time on the sim, and you do that Kathmandu to Paro, then let me know how you guys get on with the approach. Let me know which one you're using as well. If you use this one for runway 15, which is what we're doing today, then let me know how that goes, because it certainly looks like the most difficult approach I've ever seen actually. Let's start our descent down to 17,000. So I've got on my piece of paper the waypoints to look out for. Runway elevation and our final approach glide profile. I was tempted actually to do Kathmandu to Lukla and back as well in the Cessna Caravan. So that's something that's tempted me. But again, it's all down to what you guys want to see. So we're going to be going straight in now to Subsu, and then from there our descent through the valley. I've got a feeling I'm going to have to manually fly this all the way in, but PR818, after that I have to be at 13,800 foot because there's a 200 foot gap from the top of the peak actually. So if I drop too low, especially if I'm flying it manually, if Navigraph tries to kill us again, then we could hit the bottom. So it's going to be interesting for us. I think, is this the one where there's only like a handful of pilots that are rated to even do the approach? Is that correct, or am I making stuff up? There's the star. 40 miles to go to the entry point. And if I turn constraints off so I can see a bit better, that's that route that we're going to have to take. And I hope I don't have to manually fly that. So the VOR approach is out the window because we're using runway 15 instead of 33. But this is more difficult. And the RNAV is broke because we tried it in Kathmandu and it steered us off to the right for some reason. Only 15. Good grief. Has there ever been any crashes at Paro? So earlier William mentioned about there's about 30 or so crashes at Kathmandu. Why has Nightbot reappeared? I've deleted him. 71 people have crashed in Kathmandu, according to William. So I wonder how many that have crashed into Paro. I've got the terrain radar back on again. And that approach data was set to, so that's all ready to go. It's interesting it's put us in approach phase already. Well, the aircraft has put us in approach phase, but we're not in approach phase. So that's really weird. I'm not sure what's going on there. There's a bug. It wasn't even holding the green dot speed, bizarrely. So let's see if that wakes up. No, it doesn't. Wow. So subsu, 30 miles. Let's do minus 12,000 foot per minute. Okay, nothing about crashes in Paro. I guess then that very small number of pilots, they're obviously very, very good pilots, but I suppose they I'd imagine they only do maybe Paro to Kathmandu and back, so I suppose they get very, very good at it. So 25 miles to the entry point. We're going straight into this mountain range ahead. Let's go ahead and put seatbelts. We're near that transition altitude as well, so we'll go ahead and just put the lights and everything on. We wanted auto brake medium. Configure early to give us less to do. We don't want to be doing it in the ravine. Yeah, it must be really good pilots. Ten routes out of Paro. Good grief. I would never have thought that. I can't imagine how the airline makes money. Callum, this is the return, so we're actually going back into Paro now. Don't need that performance calculator, and those charts are out of date, so we'll get rid of that. Let's have another refresh of Navigraph. So enter in via PR888 at the bottom here of your screen. Into the ravine, following the river. High terrain all the way either side of us. We're dropping down to 13,800. At the very top there, that's where we've got 200 foot between us and the ground as we make that turn into the second valley to follow the next river in for our final approach. And we've got to, from that point, we've got to go from 13,800 foot to 7,500 foot for our finals. Minimum temperature -5, direct entry only via IAF PR888. Yeah, good grief. 13,800, RP DH refers to minimums. Lovely. What could possibly go wrong? Make sure if you do give it a go, let me know. I'm interested to see how many people can do this. I'm not sure even if I could do it, so I guess we're about to find out. Navigraph was good, Callum, but if you missed the outbound, Navigraph actually was going to fly us into the mountainside, so that didn't work out so great. So we ended up actually flying it for the last bit anyway, manually ourselves. So we've got thrust idle. Let's bring that radius in again. I'm going to try and do some wing views again. Ian, you should give it a go. You should give it a go. I've got everything configured as best as I can anyway. We'll go ahead and activate approach phase as well. There's our missed approach altitude of 10,320. Transition altitude of 8,000 coming up, so let's just go ahead and put a local QNH of 1017, wasn't it? Yeah, 1017. Yeah, so basically, Callum, Navigraph was going to take us in along the valley. It wasn't taking us in on sharp enough turns, so it was actually getting wider and wider as we flew through, and the line would have taken us directly into conflict with a ridge. So I ended up having to fly it manually, and I've got a feeling I'm going to have to do it again for this. It's interesting on drone cam, it really blots off all of the detail on the ground below, oddly enough, and then you go back into the sim and it's into the flight deck view and it's all pretty good again. Seatbelts are on, lights are on, beacon, let's do all cool. So that's all ready to go, and then we can just start to configure for our approach in. Is that PR 888? Yes. So we've got 17,000. And then down to 13,800. So, 13,000. $800 sets. This is going to take a lot of concentration, I think. So, we're going to make a right turn to head into this bit here, and then it looks like we're going to then sweep through and round up this direction, and then the other side of this big mountain there in that valley there is, by the looks of it, where Paro is going to be. Let's have a little look again at these charts, shall we? So 15,200 by... where is it taking us? So Navigraph's wrong again. We need to be turning left here. Wow. Let's see. I'll need to get that chart back up rapidly now because I've just lost it. PR 888 RMP approach. And we need to be going left, 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 left. Heading 010, but I'm going to have to go 000 to catch up with what ground we've just lost. Let's go flaps 1. We're going into this valley, following this river, down to 13,800. And I'm assuming that's going to give us a descent with 50% speed brake. Paro traffic, Royal Baton 165, past Papa Romeo 888, descending to 13,800 for RMP and visual approach runway 15, he says. So Navigraph's wrong. We need to follow the river. In. QNH 1017, 13,800. We need to make sure we don't go below that. Yeah, so Navigraph is that was, the nav data was totally out then. Let's go flaps 2. We want to keep slowing this down now. Yes, your navigaph, well, the nav data at least was going to take us right off to the right hand side, and I've had to manually change that so that we're flying along the correct route, which is what we're now doing. Let's see what's next. We've got to make another turn, left, 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 left. (326°). There's the river still. We've got that ridge coming up over there that we're going to have to fly through, so we're following this river, and then at this point here we're turning right, and we're going between the two peaks here into the next ravine, which is then our final approach. We've still got speed brake out to help slow us down. Let's get rid of that, and we'll rearm the spoiler. The Navigraph data, yeah, that's the very latest air rack still from Navigraph. So this is why it's a little bit bizarre actually. It's why it's surprised me that it's out. So Paro is literally the other side of this hill now. So we're at 13,800. That's looking good. What else? Once we pass this next ridge, well, I'm going to go to gear down and configure for final approach. Passing that ridge was max 145 knots coming up, so we're sticking to that. Even here, on the data there, look guys, it's telling us to fly through here in conflict, when actually we should be following the river still from the charts. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're heading back in to Paro. I'm not confident with this Navigraph data anymore. So I'm just trying to use the charts. I think we've got to fly over this ridge here. At 13,800 foot exactly. So we're literally passing this ridge here, giving us 200 foot separation from the ground. And Paro's just right the other side of this mountain ridge. How are we doing? Let's see. Yes. Cool. We will turn right into this ravine, and then we can look at our next descent, which is going to be down to our landing altitude. We'll do 7,500. That rad out's going to shoot up now. There's the ridge. 200 foot distance there. And now we want to start a turn to the right. We need 1,000 foot per minute descent. We don't want that view, we want this view. Let's go gear down. What we're doing. Getting all my views confused now. Keep turning that right turn. 5. Let's keep checking. I'm literally having to guess this now because the Navigraph charts are correct on the app, but their nav data is incorrect. We literally should be getting visual with the runway any second. It's just down here. Let's go full flaps. So the airport is just over one of these hills. I think it's just the other side of this hill actually. In fact, there's that little castle thing. So yeah, we follow this river and we should be straight in then. So let's get rid of the terrain. Let's fly it in ourselves, shall we? That's why we're doing so well then, Jesus. Let's snap to behind the aeroplane, shall we? And then come out for a wider view. So literally the other side of that ridge then is the airport. We've got gear down, all the rest of it. Paro traffic, Royal Bataan 165, finals runway 15. So catching up for that initial descent over the ridge.
2,500. Minimum.
Couple of miles now. We've got gear down, spoilers armed, cabins ready, seatbelt signs. No landing checklist. Following the river, and we should see the runway as we pass this hill. There it is. So back into the flight deck. This is literally like them YouTube videos that I've watched. We want that view, look at that. Kind of low.
1,000.
Should really turn the ground proximity warning stuff off for this as well.
400.
You want to see a low approach? Ooh, look at that. And then I think I've fluffed this, guys.
100.
Oh, yeah, we've mucked that. Up we go. Oh dear, back round then. Let's go gear up. Where's that ridge? Let's fly through here, shall we? Now we are making it up as we go along. All of a sudden then, towards the end, we really lost our what's it called? Our speed control. I'm going to climb back up through this ridge into the next ravine, 13,500 again. And then we're going to do approach number 2. There goes Paro in the distance. Paro traffic, Royal Bataan 165 going around. So we'll leave it at flaps 2 now, I think.
1,000. 1,000.
Let's have a little look at the terrain. Ooh, that's not a good sign, is it?
1,000.
Let's just leave Toga on for now. Yeah. Approach number 2 will be successful. I'm determined for it to be. We're having to absolutely pummel the engines just to get back up to cross over this ridge again. And even then, we're just barely making it.
1,000.
There we go. We're back to 13,800.
500.
Too low. Terrain.
Oh, go away. Right, that's interesting. So it didn't want to stick to the altitude constraints there. I love how this is bugging out on me now. So, approach number 2. We needed to be flying as slow as possible. Let's just take over from the auto thrust because that's playing up a little bit as well. There's no SID or anything like that. There's no go-around data, interestingly enough, either for Paro. So we were literally making that up as we went along. It's in the climb gate, but again, it just wants me to smash through to as fast as possible speeds. Past the ridge. Let's see. So it's quite steep anyway, then flying through that last bit of approach. But according to the charts, anyway, I was flying it as the chart suggested, but perhaps I should have been flying it a bit steeper. Oh, you know what? I've mucked up already. I'm following the nav data from Navigraph, and it's leading us the wrong way. So now we're going to fly too close to the top of this ridge. Are we going to even make it over the top? I'm not sure, you know. Doesn't look promising. So this is us following the Navigraph data, which I know is wrong. So let's climb. Let's get out of the way of that. There we go. That's a bit better. I'm happy to pass there.
Too low. Terrain. Too low. Terrain.
There we go, and then back into that ravine again, guys, for approach number 2. So I'm going to try it a bit different this time. We're going to go for a steeper approach. We'll go gear down now, so we've got drag on the airframe. Ground spoilers are armed. But actually, we want to slow, so let's get the spoilers back out. Paro traffic, Royal Bataan 165, finals again. Second attempt, runway 15. I've got a feeling this is going to be fine for us now. So, approach attempt number 2. What could possibly go wrong? Now we've got engines on idle. Got flaps full. We're making our way in.
2,500.
We're making full use of the speed brake as we get ourselves into the ravine. At the minute, descent rate of 2,700 foot per minute just to chase our altitude properly. And I've got all our speed brakes deployed to
100 above. 2,500.
Streamlabs there, committing a Streamlabs bot committing a sin. Let's see, that's our spoilers. And let's get rid of those. Well, they closed real quick. Are they supposed to close that quick? Yeah, I've got a good feeling this time we're going to nail it. So I'm going to focus, and instead of flapping with the views of the outside, I'm going to focus on actually landing. And this now is more of an achievable speed and altitude, so that's good. And yeah, Jesus is here in the live chat. Let's get rid of the speed brake. Let's rearm the speed brake. Oh, there's an aircraft flying in on VATSIM over there, look.
1,000.
Not that I've heard them.
1,000. 1,000.
I hope they're flying out and not in. Hello Wesley, welcome. We're trying attempt number 2 for the tricky Paro approach. Specs, well, we've got a GT Force
500.
RTX 2070 Super.
400. 300.
Using the speed brake again because we need it. We can try and keep that speed low.
You can do it, you can do it.
20.
Oh dear, floating.
10. 5.
Whoa, that was a heavy one. And we're down. Oh. Flappy boy, thank you. Thanks for the words of wisdom. Yeah, we're down. I don't think we've got much aircraft left to use, but we are down. There's a little taxiway to take us back. I mean, that was definitely the most expensive of the most tricky of the two approaches that we could have used. And it's only because we had that tailwind for runway 33 with a live METAR that we had to go ahead and use runway 15. Yeah, I mean, we're down, and the aircraft's still rolling, so that's all good. About to taxi into a fence there. Good grief. It's interesting to see how bad the Navigraph data is then for this, at least this area. Both Kathmandu and Paro, the nav data that they've put into the sim is completely out. So both approaches would have flown us into the mountains. That was aviation simulation. He suggested it a few weeks ago, so yeah, he can get a bag of coal for Christmas. What's going on with this scenery as well? Pretty much going to be... Oh, that's going to smash straight into that. Who thought of that? Good grief. Good old Asobo scenery again. Yeah, well, I hope you guys have enjoyed that anyway. I think runway 33 would have been a lot nicer to land on. I mean, the videos that I've seen on YouTube from in real life pilots, they literally seem like they just plant the aircraft straight down on the runway, so... Flappy boy, are you still logged in on the network, or are you Have you logged off? But we could watch your landing next. Yeah, claps of relief, and every single sick bag in the cabin is full. There we go. Hope it's enjoyable. And then back into the little terminal building. APUs available. Bleed on. There we go. If you're new to the channel, make sure you check out all my other videos. I hope you've enjoyed this one anyway. It's a little bit more adrenaline busting, I guess. But make sure you click that subscribe button down below. And welcome to Paro. Kathmandu was definitely a lot easier. There's our gate, right in front of the handmade terminal building. Nice one. Thank you for tuning in anyway. Let's creep that last bit forwards while we watch him. Turn the lights off. And sticks. Right on the line as well. That's pretty good. Let's go engine 2 off. Engine 1 off. Runway 15 is definitely harder than 33. I think 33 is the one they use on the, if I'm right, on the landing challenge, I believe. So you come in over this part of the ravine rather than that ridiculous approach we've just tried. I mean, I couldn't have been any lower, so A32NX on Lukla. Yeah, I could try. I don't think it will go very well. We only just managed to get it in here after a second attempt. Yeah, somebody always clicks dislike, but shame really. There's a tower exam on Tenerife South, if anybody's going to log into VATSIM at some point. But there we go, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed it. And join me again over the next few days. I'll be running some other live streams as well, so if there's anything you guys want to particularly see, then make sure you let me know on our Discord server. Thank you all for watching. Those of you who I don't see before Christmas, I hope you have a fantastic Christmas and a Happy New Year. And thank you all for watching. Have a good day.